Hey, Rumble World Entertainment, and yes, we're talking about Supergirl and its potential box office and stuff. There's a lot of different articles coming out, but you can see here, Deadline Supergirl box office math doesn't add up. Break-even numbers cited in trades likely wrong by a long shot. Especially seen as you're now getting headlines that also say stuff like this. Supergirl box office tracking points to opening weekend on par with 2023's The Flash movie, which is not good. I've also seen it being stated that they're talking about the numbers being in and around 55 million domestically, which that's a very bad start for it. And they're even saying now that it may actually open worse than Mandalorian and Grogu, and we've seen how that's going. But let's dive into this part first, because, yeah, I don't understand how the hell we're still here at this point and people still can't figure out how box office works. It's not hard. It really isn't hard. But for these people, it seems to be impossible. But we'll dive into it. But just before we do, if you don't do what little one thing for me, I think we could have issues. That is, hit that sub button, and the like button, and the share button, and that little bell so you don't miss videos. Do it. Cost you nothing, it's free, and if you don't like it, you can unsubscribe later. I'll come for you if you unsubscribe, but you know what I mean. I'm only joking, but it does help the channel and helps me out, so cheers. Let's dive into this. So, let's have a look at exactly how they get this one wrong. So, a surprising claim published by Deadline about the upcoming DC Studios film Supergirl has sparked a heated debate among box office watchers, and now financial analyst and YouTuber Valiant Renegade is arguing that the math simply doesn't work. The controversy stems from a recent Deadline report by the box office journalist Anthony De Alessandro. In the article, Deadline stated that Supergirl cost a reported $175 million net before global marketing expenses and had a break-even point of $315 million at the worldwide box office. On its face, the number immediately raises eyebrows. Well, to start with, the budget is bullshit anyway. We know it's more than 175. Why do we know that? Because the original number they put out was like 210 million. Before they went, uh-oh, and Superman started underperforming, and all of a sudden Supergirl's box office numbers were, lowered a lot. But it's above that. But this is before marketing. Marketing for this thing has to be a juggernaut. They have to have spent at least 150, if not more, on the marketing, because it is everywhere. And I mean everywhere. It was at Super Bowl with the Puppy Bowl. That cost them money. It's got if you watch Discovery Channel, I don't know if they're doing it in the States, but over here, if you're watching Discovery Channel to Sky and stuff, you've probably noticed that before most every show, the sponsor for the show is Supergirl. And sometimes they have Millie Alcock on there talking about go see it in theaters. I went to see Masters of the Universe before movie trailers and stuff started. No, they had a trailer with Millie Alcock and the girl playing Ruthie standing there talking about the best experiences to watch movies in the cinema, and it was to promote Supergirl. It's like, that costs shit tons of money, because you're not even actually showing your trailer, even though the trailer's you're there telling people to come to the cinemas and stuff. So the marketing for this thing has to be absolutely colossal. So, not because De Alessandro lacks credibility, quite the opposite. Even Renegade repeatedly stressed that De Alessandro, I'm possibly butchering that, is one of the industry's most reliable box office reporters. The problem is that the numbers themselves appear difficult to reconcile with how theatrical economics normally work. And this is the part that everybody just cannot understand. The issue is simple. Movie studios don't keep 100% of ticket sales. Theaters generally retain a significant percentage of box office revenue, with studios often receiving roughly half of domestic ticket sales and a smaller percentage internationally. Because of that, a movie's worldwide gross and the amount actually returned to the studio are very different numbers. That's why industry observers frequently use rough break-even formulas that place profitability somewhere around the 2.5 times a film's production budget. Under that traditional model, a film with a 170 million budget would need roughly 425 million worldwide to break even. Some analysts have previously used that figure when discussing Supergirl. Others have suggested that a movie costing somewhere in the 170 million range would likely need 500 million worldwide to become profitable, and perhaps 550 million or more to comfortably clear profitability thresholds. Now, that part with the 500 to 550 to break even and stuff on the 170 million thing, I think that is possibly where they're also adding in the 100, possibly to 150 million marketing. I don't think they're just going off of the budget, basically. And if they are, they're getting it wrong as well. So that's where the deadline figure becomes difficult to understand. If Supergirl truly cost 175 million before marketing, how does it suddenly need only 315 million worldwide when comparable superhero films have routinely been discussed using much larger break-even numbers? The skepticism isn't coming from nowhere. Recent discussions surrounding Marvel's Thunderbolts, Captain America Brave New World, and even James Gunn's own Superman frequently involved break-even estimates far above the 350 million figure now being attached to Supergirl. Variety reported that Marvel's Thunderbolts carried a 180 million production budget and needed roughly 425 million worldwide to break even, which it didn't hit. That figure alone raises questions about Deadline's claim regarding Supergirl. If a 180 million Marvel movie required 425 million worldwide before profitability enters the conversation, how does a 175 million DC film suddenly need only 315, while also excluding marketing costs? Deadline itself reported that Captain America Brave New World needed approximately 425 million worldwide to break even on a $180 million production budget before promotion and marketing and blah blah blah. By the way, I love that 180. The 180 was how much they paid for the reshoots. That's not even the actual budget. That's what they paid for the reshoots. So the film eventually grossed around 415 million worldwide. If Deadline's own math placed Captain America at 425 million break-even point on a budget nearly identical to Supergirl, the reported 315 million threshold becomes difficult to reconcile. And this is the thing. It's getting so messy when it comes to these. It's basically their absolute desperation to try and make these things profitable when in reality they're not profitable. That's not a sustainable way to do your business and not a sustainable movie marketing scheme. You can't go, look, our movie that we completely bullshitted about the numbers of made this much. We're so happy, when it's the case of, but you're not bringing any money in. How long do you think you can actually do that? Clearly not that long, seeing as the likes of Warner Brothers has to be sold because they have not been making money. Which then you get like headlines like, Supergirl will see Millie Alcock's Kara drop the DCU's first PG-13 F-bomb. Because that's what you want. You want Supergirl to be the one to drop the F-bomb. Now, it's saying here that she is the one dropping it because it says Kara dropping the DC's first F-bomb. If anything, that should probably come from Lobo, not Millie Alcock. But it's just this, why can they never figure out how the box office works? Because it's all bullshit. They know exactly how it works. But again, it's their way of trying to make the thing they know is going to be a failure, make it look like a success. That's why we always see Disney round the numbers down. Oh, our marketing is very little, and our tracking shows that our movie's going to open with 90 million domestically. And then they actually start rounding that number down. And then they round it down again. And then they usually round it down one more time. So if it comes in slightly above that, they can go, oh my god, it broke all expectations. It's like, no it didn't, because the first number you put out was 90. It made 40. Like, where are you going? So that is what this is. But when they have this thing that they can compare what they're saying about Supergirl numbers to all the other movies that had a budget practically the same, and the number was double what they're saying Supergirl needs to make, and why they're leaving out marketing and stuff, it makes no sense. Either way, the movie's gonna bomb. There's no if, buts, ands about that. It's going to bomb. They should have just went with the hopeful, optimistic Supergirl instead of the Tom King, dour, drunk, messy version of Supergirl. Because Millie Alcock, I still stand by the fact that she was good casting. She's just going to be given the worst version of Supergirl to play. And it really does suck. It really does. Especially seeing as people are going, yeah, but Lobo will push this movie out there. It's like, fuck all, people know who Lobo is. Unless you're actually a hardcore comic book fan and stuff, you probably don't know who Lobo is. No normie knows who Lobo is. And the fact that normies don't know who Lobo is, them seeing that it's Jason Momoa and he's in DC as they're gonna get confused. They're like, is this a weird new darker version of Aquaman or something? Like, isn't he Aquaman? What's going on? That's gonna happen. So it's gonna be interesting. But what do you guys think? Do you think these numbers are bullshit? Especially seeing as it's even before marketing, but their numbers are bullshit. The budget is bullshit. But what do you guys think? Do you think it is? What do you think about its tracking on par with the likes of The Flash? And do you think Supergirl herself should be the one dropping F-bombs? Let me know. I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and hit that hype button and all that good stuff, you know the drill. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.